Can I ask you a question? What traits or qualities in a character make them more likable from your perspective? While superheroes are strong and admirable, and villains tap into our darker thoughts, I argue that the characters we love the most are those who are entirely human, without any supernatural powers. Let me tell you a short story. For the last 3.5 weeks I was suffering from a stomach bug. I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep. And thanks to my emetophobia, which is the fear of vomiting, it's safe to say that I wasn't quite enjoying the ride called life. In fact, I would have preferred a lobotomy. But I'm a big boy, and I knew what to do. Distract myself before I lose my final bits of sanity. So I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 and finally finished it. But to come back to my argument, the character which struck me the most in the past couple of years was Arthur Morgan, the protagonist of Red Dead Redemption 2. And I want to talk to you about a character written so well, I was lost in the game. See, in this game you are playing as an outlaw, a man with a troubled past who got adopted and raised by 2 other outlaws, namely Dutch van der Linde and Hosea Matthews. Mr. Morgan describes himself as a bad, ugly and stupid man, who knows nothing besides loyalty to his gang and killing, and he will point it out quite often in the whole game. It's his badass persona, a bloodthirsty outlaw, an expert gunslinger, a ruthless brawler. Sounds cool, my obsession with pulling the trigger in video games was hyped up. Demons, zombies, I don't care, give me something. Only a few minutes in and we are on our way in a snowstorm to crash a party. We need supplies and a warm place to stay. A few words wasted, a few names taken, and a brief introduction who the hell the O'Driscolls are. And we are in. After the house is cleared, we check the stables and are jumped by the last degenerate. We beat the crap out of him. And do we kill him? I mean, he's a fucking O'Driscoll, of course. I misclicked. I spared him accidentally. But Arthur reassures us that he won't make it far in this snowstorm. Showing us how less he cares about someone's impending doom. But only a few minutes later, he shows us the opposite when he cares about a young widow who was trapped in the basement by the Pryor gang. Anyways, after returning to the camp, we meet the whole gang, and by the looks of it, Arthur is a well-respected man.
Mr. Morgan, we put you in a room over here.
Thank you, Miss Grimshaw.
People around here see him as the man who gets the job done, but also treat him nice. Not because of fear, but because he seems reliable. In a later cutscene you can even see him writing in his journal. Now, hold up. We established that Arthur Morgan is a bad, ugly and stupid man, but we haven't even played for 20 minutes and he contradicted himself in all aspects. He saved Sadie, that's the widow. He can write and read and seems to care deeply about his people. And if that's ugly, I might have a problem. The more I played, the more I started to understand what Arthur was like. A depressed man with very low self-esteem. A man who lost his parents and everyone he loved, including his wife and son. A man who got rejected by the family of his latest love for being a ruthless outlaw. A man who would do anything to uphold his current situation. Being surrounded by people who care about him. Having a place he can call home. Being part of something. You don't have to deal with crazy amounts of depression or crippling low self-esteem to compare yourself with other people or stories. It's only human to search for something that you can relate to. But I'm not talking about sympathy here. I'm talking about empathy. See, it's easy to misunderstand them as one and the same. But feeling sorry for Arthur and feeling with him is the important distinction. And the biggest point goes to the layering of the character. For example, he lost his parents, his wife, his child, his dog, and another girlfriend. Tragic, yes, but real scenarios that can and will eventually happen to all of us in one form or another. This is the first layer. The second layer would be the emotional burden you would carry around with you. The third layer would be the emotional state you find yourself in when a possibility occurs that a scenario like this could repeat itself. The fourth layer would be his attitude towards other people who he can't really trust. A state of black and white, good and bad, do or die. Something that gets pointed out very early in the game.
I'm gonna make sure she slows. Let's do or die with you. I like it.
I mean, we all start in a blank state. A newborn has no idea of right or wrong, no perception of morals. Through our own experiences and the way we get raised, we learn. Arthur got raised by two outlaws who were father figures to him. He did everything he could to survive. He ventured out and tried to build something for him. It failed. He overcame the tragedies and tried again. It failed again. Naturally, he became a bitter man who clings onto the only things that stayed constant in his life, and became overly violent to variables which could mess with his habits. Something we all share, isn't it? Probably not to such an extent, but we humans are creatures of habit. This would be the fifth layer. We are 5 layers deep, and if you still can't connect with this man, I truly envy your life. I think it's worth discussing the early signs that Rockstar Games placed to hint at Arthur's true nature. In the promotional material for the game, he was wearing something different, even hinting at possibly red clothing. I mean, yes, the whole posters are red and the game is called Red Dead, so it doesn't have to mean shit. But think about it this way, this is a fictional video game. Nothing in movies, books or games just exists for the sake of it. An artist or a storyteller makes decisions because they want to portray something specific, no matter how small the detail is. They chose the color blue for Arthur, which symbolizes calmness or sadness. They chose to make him handsome. We tend to trust and like attractive people more. They chose to give him a very soothing and calming voice. If you have played the game, just imagine one thing for a second. Micah Bell is the hero in the story, but his appearance and voice are the same. Wouldn't really fit now, would it?
Hello, Maddie. Did you miss me?
Dutch van der Linde is the true savior and hero, but he looks and sounds the same.
They are good at smelling filth, huh? So filth has got to be disposed of. Your friends, the Patriots, are gonna come and rescue you, you repulsive little maggot.
It wouldn't really work either. While you can pretty much decide how you're gonna play the game, you can clearly see what is the right decision and what is the wrong one. They give you the illusion of free choice. So why is Arthur the way he is? Simply put, it wouldn't be a fun game if the first text you see would say, "This game has multiple outcomes and your choices throughout the game matter, but Arthur Morgan is a troubled soul who is actually really kind and lovable." Remember when I misclicked on the barn with the O'Driscoll? I did it on purpose.
Dear God. There's more. No.
Why? Because I was sick while playing the game. My mind convinced me to do the good thing. I helped the poor fella get his horses back at Valentine. I helped the man who got bitten by a snake. I didn't kill Jimmy Brooks. Because I was given a choice, right? No, because the game hinted at all of this from the start. And to be honest, I was already primed through my illness to do the good thing. The altruistic feeling you get when something bad happens to you. He is in the illusion of not having a choice. He has to do X or else. The reason Arthur Morgan struck me was exactly the opposite why I picked up the game. I needed a distraction from my mental paranoia, and if you think about great characters like superheroes or heroes in stories in general who have some sort of ability or almost infinite resources, that's exactly what will draw you to them. I would do that if I was that strong. I would do this if I could fly. I wouldn't abuse the ability to turn invisible. But Arthur can't do any of this. I wasn't distracted. I was invested. To fix problems, to reach a better meaning, to feel happy again. Arthur's biggest problem is, I would say, by trying to save everyone around him, he lost himself. And this is something a lot of us, I think, share. We are very busy with stuff which shouldn't control us, which shouldn't bother us too much. That we often neglect serious problems which will affect us down the road. But admitting it, no. What if they think of me as weak? I am the man for the job. I can't show emotions or weakness. I don't need to heal. And I'm not innocent regarding to this thinking. Me, a grown-ass man lying in bed all paranoid because my tummy was upset. All it really took was to write it down to understand how pathetic I was. A great character is someone who can show you the ropes, not by skipping the obstacles in front of him, but by being an example. Seeing a badass character admitting that he is scared.
I guess I'm afraid.
Seeing that all he did was because of fear. Seeing his true nature when the mask falls. Maybe I am overthinking this, but maybe I just picked the worst game to distract myself from my problem. The reason for my claim that characters with no powers are more likable is simple. I was searching for a distraction, something that Batman or the Hulk could have offered me. I would be gone in my thoughts and wonder. Arthur, on the other hand, presented not only his thoughts but offered a journey through fear and pain, which he himself tried to avoid thinking about. He was distracting himself with new problems and work, and oftentimes we truly suck at identifying the problem, and even if we know for certain what is causing all this trouble, fear will hold us back. Now, can you draw a connection between an Indian chief and a nun? If you have played the game, probably yes. If not, well, to be honest, outside of the game I couldn't either. Chief Rainfalls and Sister Calderon, two major characters which act more like guidance to a healthy soul for Arthur. Both have gone through bad times in their past like Arthur did, but instead of opting for the distractions, they made sure to grow stronger through their mistakes. You could think of therapy, changing Arthur's perspective. What is done is done. There is no point in going back over and over again and thinking about the what could have I done better. But there are infinite reasons to think about the what can I do better from now on. Finding purpose, and I think Sister Calderon's words describe it perfectly.
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
You don't know me.
Forgive me, but that's the problem. You don't know you.
Another point where I am guilty. It is much easier to recognize the flaws and mistakes of others than your own. I lost count at how often I received a statement which I thought wouldn't fit to my persona, be it good or bad. And I was absolutely wrong. I judged a lot of friends and loved ones with great accuracy because I know them so well, but I misjudged myself more than I care to remember, because I was always the screw that problem, I don't need help type of guy. Good to see where this attitude brought me. I created a world for myself filled with fear and anxiety, but made sure I had enough paths to run away, and they are slowly and surely creeping up on me. In other words, I was an absolute fool for thinking I can outrun life. And from here on, Arthur's whole demeanor changes. He no longer fears the possibility that the past could repeat itself. He understands that this is already happening, but this time, he can choose who to be. John Marston, the main protagonist of the first game, is also present in this game. While John sees Arthur more like a big brother, Arthur seems to be fed up with Marston. The only explanation goes like,
It was a year, Hosea. He ditched us for a goddamn year.
I've spoken to him many times. He knows he did wrong. He just wants to put it behind him.
I'm sure he does.
I thought, okay, Arthur values loyalty, and by disappearing for a year, you don't really show that you are loyal. But isn't that a bit meager? This is pure speculation from my side, but I think Arthur's dislike towards John is that Marston has everything Arthur tried to achieve over and over again, and he just booked it. Gone like it was nothing, treating Arthur's dream like something you could throw away. And I can see the conflict in Arthur's mind, the whys and the hows. But after he sees his life clearly, he understands that judging Marston's actions filtered through his own fears may be the wrong approach. So instead of adopting him and mentoring him with his own beliefs like Dutch did with Arthur, he helps John and his family escape the leashes. He understands that they will fall victim to the same scheme that trapped him his entire life, and quite possibly will cost him their lives. He understands now that some things don't need saving, but changing. even if it means to lose once more. I would argue that the characters we love the most are those who don't have any powers or any other supernatural means. The reason for my argument is the fine line between fiction and reality. And many films and books protect us from overthinking stuff by pointing out the obvious and explaining us why she or he is super, keeping us in line, allowing us to drift away, but remind us that after this story we will have to deal with our problems again. But then there are characters who cross the line and show us that running away from ourselves can have a serious impact on how we perceive life in general, not by being super, but by being human. I realized that I was wrong, but that is not the problem. I am human after all. But Red Dead Redemption showed me how incredibly I was defending my own thoughts and trying to save my own perception, but there was no effort in actually becoming better. You create your own reality, which is all fun and games until you overstep the line and start believing it. And that can go both ways, positive and negative. Take care of your brain. It is the most powerful weapon you possess. And as always, thank you for your time.